feel like I'm trapped in a time loop. So far, we've covered a lot in terms of the Olympic Wallowa lineament, OWL, or the Klamath Blue Mountain lineament, or KBML. It's been a pretty wild ride, from faults you may have not known about in the Seattle metropolitan area to exotic terrains formed elsewhere and drug in through plate tectonics to punch us in the face. It's been crazy so far, and I just want to thank you for coming along. But we ain't done yet. Through the entire mess of both OWL and KBML, one thing keeps coming up, and that is the crescent basalts, Siletzia, the Olympics, which is now going to be known as OCS, because I'm tired of saying the full thing. Mind you, pointing out the Olympics part is a little bit of Washingtonian bias in me, because as you can see, it extends down into Oregon. Extending from Vancouver Island all the way down to Roseburg, Oregon, and from the coast to the Cascades, we're talking about a unit that's 375 miles long by 125 miles wide, and in some spots is 20 miles thick! Just to make one quick point, we don't see the whole thing, considering some of it did get subducted. But some of it didn't, and that's what we see. The silver lining and piece that I get is this is something we can actually see, unlike OWL or KBML. Heck, walk along the waterfront of Seattle, and the vast majority of what you'll see off to the west is the crescent basalts, Siletzia, out in the Olympics. And before you ask, yes, I did come all the way to Seattle just for that. Now time to get the heck out of this tsunami zone. I draw your attention to the map of OWL and KBML, though. Notice that the northern part of OWL is right at the northern edge of OCS. After the Cascades and the Columbia River flood basalts, we know what's in the way here, but trace KBML from the Blue Mountains all the way down to the Klamath Mountains, and notice it's kind of right in the middle of them. North of OWL, we find another exotic terrain known as Wrangellia that makes up a lot of Vancouver Island. And coming soon to a Weird Guy's TikTok channel to you, to the south of KBML is the Klamath Mountains. And both units are exotic terrains formed elsewhere and then drug in here, which means that they were here prior to OCS. Which means that the north and the south end of both of these two lineaments were already here when OCS came in and punched us. Now for OCS itself, the mechanism is something we're already pretty familiar with, and that it's a whole lot of basaltic rock, pretty similar to the Columbia River flood basalts. I do have to point out that while most leads suggest that OCS is the product of the Yellowstone hotspot out in the Pacific Ocean, there are some other theories. One such, and kind of the other side of the argument, argues that a spreading ridge, or a place where two plates are pulling apart, split open wide enough that was allowing just unholy amounts of material to come flooding out and gives us what we have today. There is, of course, another theory that said it was a combination of a spreading ridge plus the Yellowstone hotspot all at once. No matter how you square it, we have a ton of basaltic rock that's now on the coast. Oh god, more names I can't pronounce. In Oregon, we primarily see OCS expressed as the Siletzia River Volcanic Formation, or SRV. Just like with the Olympics, SRV is a product of both basaltic rock that was erupted up during this time period, as well as intermixed with the sedimentary oceanic rock that was still, down there at the same time. The Olympics version in Oregon, or where we see this unit, is now known as the Coast Range. If I haven't driven home how impactful this event was, I want to just draw your attention to one more thing. Roughly around this time period, the Rocky Mountains, which bisects North America, had been going through a growth spurt, if you will. It is a mess that we don't have time to get into, but the impact of OCS, the Olympics, Siletzia, and down in Oregon and the Coast Range, stopped their growth. Well, I'm not going to talk about it right now. If you'd like to learn a little bit more, look up the laramide orogeny. But interesting to note, and kind of going back to what we were talking earlier, we don't see SRV south of what is inferred as KBML. Remember back when we were talking about OWL and how everything north of it was older, it's exotic, it's been around for a minute, and it's what hit us. While everything to the south of it, including the crescent basalts, or the Olympics or Siletzia, OCS, is younger than that. There's that interesting line again. Principle is the same with KBML. So in a roundabout way, OWL and KBML kind of directed the path of what OCS was doing. And of course, by doing, I mean the direction it was traveling. That's an interesting part to this story. We go back to the clockwise rotation of the Pacific Northwest. Notice that a lot of that motion is happening in the body that we've been talking about today. GPS trend lines show us that things are going from southwest upwards northeast. OWL is here, runs there, and KBML is there, and runs along there. Yakima fold belts are thrust faults, and there's sliding going on up there. What's happening down over here? Well, the next part of this story I have to break up just like I did when we entered eastern Washington. But in the next part, we talk about the K in KBML, the Klamath Mountains.